So one of the new ventures that Alyx, just Alyx, formerly Delexman, is doing recently is this little podcast that he's doing. Oh, not a little podcast, but it's a podcast they're doing from an actual studio in Houston, along with somebody else. I can't think of his name right now. It's called Raw Cognizance or something like that. And it's a podcast you can listen to through Spotify, Apple TV, and I'm sure in the near future, if not already, other various podcast affiliations. And what they do is they talk about a variety of topics, and then because they have a YouTube page, they for the podcast, they basically edit those clips up and post them on the YouTube page. But what's interesting is even though you'll get an audio version of the podcast through the various affiliates like Spotify, what they do is they show you a video clip of said podcast that they post onto the YouTube page for people to watch and see. And there's a lot of people that do that as well. You mean Solomon at times does that. Brian Alvarez with F4W Online does that. A lot of people, including myself, at times, where I basically take the audio from a video and place it into MP3 format so it can, get, or I upload the video if I'm able to my podcast, and then the audio is extracted, and the rest is history. And the rest is history, if you know what I mean. But the one thing they talked about in a video they premiered today, because they're premiering them, I think day by day they're doing this, or hour by hour. And one of the things they talked about today was the whole situation with OnlyFans, and how recently OnlyFans tried to remove the porn, the softcore, hardcore, lesbian, gay, LGBTQ sex material from the site, only to get a lot of backlash to the point that they put it back, or they allowed it back, I'm guessing with some provisions or or some kind of situation, some kind of deal that will allow it back on there, but I think maybe under a certain rating or something, or something like that. I'm not really sure, but basically the point of it is OnlyFans got a lot of backlash for doing that, mainly because that was the selling point for a lot of the site for a lot of people to come on board and be part of it. Now, why was OnlyFans so abrupt to basically rectify the decision they made? In other words, why was their decision to remove all that porn, that softcore, all that? Why was it so abrupt to the point that they rectified it and brought it back, or allowed it back onto the site, maybe with a few provisions or stipulations, content ratings, what have you, here and there? Why did they do that? Well, because basically they have to stand by their name. Their name is OnlyFans, which means that when somebody hears, a video site is called OnlyFans, and their promotion is, hey, we're about you, then, and then you go against, being about them, you're going to get a lot of backlash. You're going to get people calling you out and saying, you're not really about the fans, you're hypocrites and stuff like that, which is why they had to rectify the decision that they made. But why would they rectify the decision? Why wouldn't they, stand by their guns and all that, and, just say, look, this is the decision we made, we're not going to rectify it, we're going to stick by it, we're still about you guys, but this is something we have to do. Why would they not stand up for the decision and backtrack and put that stuff back on there, or allow that stuff back on there? It's mainly because of the fact that when you look at OnlyFans, and you look at sites like BitChute, and you look at other sites that have come and gone, throughout the years, and you have to take into consideration that what OnlyFans and sites like BitChute and many others, past and present, have been attempting to do is they're trying to be the next YouTube, but emphasis on the you than ever before. That's what they're trying to be. They're trying to be the next YouTube by basically, being a site that allows people to upload their content on there without any restrictions, without any backlash. They could upload, like with OnlyFans, at the beginning, and then, briefly not for a, and then briefly not for a period of time, very briefly that is, and then once again, with a place like OnlyFans, if they decided, if two girls decided, hey, we're gonna put on a lesbian sex act or a lesbian sex show, whatever, and I say that with all due respect, no offense. If they decide to do that, they could do it now. Maybe with some limitations here and there, very few, but they could do it now, just like they did at the beginning. And that's basically what a site like and that's basically what I'm trying to get at, is what a site like OnlyFans is trying to be. They're trying to be about the content creators more specifically than about anybody else. I mean, everybody looks at YouTube, and I say this with all due respect, no offense. Everybody looks at YouTube, and they say that YouTube and Google are not what YouTube used to be. Like, ever since YouTube got bought by Google, they've been a shell of their former selves. Even though YouTube has, throughout the years, and we got to give them credit for this, have throughout the years tried to rectify a lot of the decisions they made in the past that basically caused a lot of people that used to look at them as the primary source of distributing and showcasing their content, basically, they're trying to rectify the decisions that drove them away. And now, by rectifying some of the decisions that drove them away, they are slowly bringing those content creators back. But the thing is, people look at YouTube, and even before it's selling to Google and all that, and they used to look at it that even though it would get in trouble sometimes with allowing people to upload, let's say, fan vids or AMVs or whatever the case may be, or some kind of content with copyrighted music or videos, they would get in trouble for allowing that to happen, and they would be told, hey, get these people to take it down, remove the channel, whatever. But even with that being the case, and believe me, I know from experience, my very first channel was kaputted because of my uploading of a lot of AMVs that I did based around Sonic X and stuff, and Sonic SatAM, but mostly Sonic X. It was mostly kaputted because of that. And even though it hurt me that happened, I was able to come back a few months later with my second channel, and even though I got strikes and stuff like that with that channel, I still was able to maintain it for 2.5 years before that went kaput due to dubious reasons, which, I kind of don't know whether to believe or not. But after that channel went kaput, I got this channel, and I got a few backup channels to, go, to backtrack on just in case. And the thing is, despite what's going on, getting back on track here, to go back to the beginning of YouTube, even though YouTube, like I said with my channel, my first channel would, copyright people, take their channels down and everything, they were still viewed, and this is the point I was trying to get on, I should say, or try to get to, I should say, before rambling off and almost into another subject, or off topic, if you will. Basically, YouTube, despite some of the decisions they had to make, the channels they had to remove, the copyrights they had to do and all that, they were still viewed. They were still viewed, ladies and gentlemen, as a site, a video uploading, distributing site, for the content creators, for people like me and you. That even though they had to follow restrictions, they had to do certain things here and there, they were still looked at as primarily a site for me and you. But over time, ever since the sale to Google, they became a shell in the eyes of a lot of people, like I said, of their former selves. And now they're trying to rectify that. They're trying to basically, evolve, but also go back to the roots of what made YouTube popular to the consumer, to the content creator. And when people look at a site like OnlyFans and BitChute and others, past and present, that are trying to be about the content creators first and foremost, even by putting it in their title of their site, a lot of people expect them to be like that. So that when something like a site like OnlyFans decides to pretty much go against that by removing the porn, a bit very briefly for a time, people are going to call them hypocrites. They're going to backlash against them. And and obviously OnlyFans realizing, oops, we made a mistake, we need to rectify that. They ended up putting that stuff back on there, or allowing that stuff back on there. But obviously they did it probably with a few provisions, like I said, that could basically ease the tension, that kind of ease the fact that, hey, this is a site that's about the content creators and nothing else. And this is why you have people going to OnlyFans. This is why you have people going to BitChute and all that, because these are sites that are trying to build themselves on being about the fans. This is why people still go to Vimeo at times, because even though Vimeo, will allow you to have unlimited uploading for unlimited times with a price, a subscription price, monthly or annually, whatever you want to call it, people will still go to them because there's less restrictions. Like I mentioned anytime at the end of the video, when I tell you, check me out at Vimeo at BW Roses, and I mention the fact that it's a place where you can find videos that are not blocked due to content reasons and all that, that's the reason, because there's no blocking. There's no oh, well, you can't put this on there because it's got copyright material you don't own the rights to. It doesn't play a factor. It doesn't play a factor whatsoever, because I can actually have my content on there and people can view it. That is why you look at someone like Animat. This is why you look at someone like Rowdy C, if you will. They utilize places like Vimeo as basically their, how do I put this, their primary or secondary primary channel site, because of the fact, even Bob's Show does it as well, as their secondary primary site, or their primary site, period, because there's less restrictions on content. They don't have to worry about YouTube going no, you cannot do that. You cannot have that, because there's less restrictions. And that's why they go to it. Do they still utilize YouTube at times? Absolutely. They still utilize it because, they'll either put a trailer up with a link to the Vimeo site, or they'll, put the video up there maybe a few days after or a month after or something like that, when they pretty much feel things are in the clear. And if it gets blocked or if it gets copyrighted, then yeah, they could just take it down and say, hey, look, we tried, but here, you can go check out it at Vimeo. The same with BitChute, the same with OneDrive, believe it or not, from Google. A lot of people utilize different outlets because of the less restrictions a site like YouTube has. And that's why when, sites like OnlyFans comes out and they say, hey, we're about you guys. You're our priority. You're our number one, topic. You're our number one. What I'm trying to say is, when you have a site like OnlyFans come out and say, hey, you're our number one priority. You're the bosses, and all that. And then you have OnlyFans come out and then say, oh, by the way, we've decided to take out some of the porn stuff and all this, Yeah, fans are not happy, especially when you come out and it's in your title that you're about us, you're about the fans, you're about the content creators, and yet you go against that, or you show your hypocrites against that by taking something off there that drew people to that site in the first place. Yeah, I'll admit, is it a crazy reasoning, or a unique kind of unusual reasoning to be drawn to a site that's about the content creators and it says it in its title, itself? Yeah, it is. Porn, sex, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it's an unusual way to draw people in to check out your site and even sign up for it or even be a part of it. But still, if your site is coming out and saying, hey, we're about you, you're the bosses, people expect you to stand by that. This is why people sometimes go to BitChute, because they expect BitChute to stand by the fact that they say, hey, you can upload whatever you want on here, no restrictions. People will do that. I mean, there are some news sites or news channels on here, independent ones and all that, they have gone to BitChute because of less restrictions. Because even though they could still have, some of the videos and clips and all that up on the YouTube page, there are some that probably get blocked because of sensitive material or copyright reasons or whatever the case may be, ridiculous case, whatever it is, and instead of being upset about that, they can go to BitChute and say, hey, come here, you can watch it here without restrictions. And that's why when OnlyFans did what they did, and they got the backlash that they did because of that decision, and they ended up rectifying it, it's because of the fact that they were going back against the word of who they really are and what they're really about. Because whether you want to admit it or not, OnlyFans, like I mentioned earlier, OnlyFans, BitChute, and other sites, past, present, and probably future, they're trying to be the next YouTube, but also by trying to be the next YouTube, they're trying to remind a site like YouTube of, hey, this is what made you popular in the first place. You are about the content creators. You will put them first before anything else. And that's why you have these sites coming out, and one of the primary mission statements at the beginning to draw people in is, hey, we're about you. You're the priority. You're the bosses. Whatever you want to do or upload is okay by us. Or at least mostly okay by us. And when, again, you have a site like OnlyFans, proclaiming that as a mission statement, or one of them anyway, but then going back on it by doing what they did, yeah, people are going to call them out. So, mainly when you get down to it, and I want to say this in closing, when you get down to it, it's not the fact that what OnlyFans did was a bad decision. I can understand them getting some criticism for allowing that to be on there. I get it, especially if they want to be the next big thing in social media and video content sharing and all that. I understand that. But when your primary mission statement, and it's even in the title of your site, is about putting the fans first, the content creators first, then yeah, going against what you stand for in any capacity is not a good business move. It detracts people from wanting to be invested in what you have to offer. So yeah, I get it. They did what they thought was the best decision. That's our neighbor's diesel truck. I do apologize for that. But, they made what was the best, at the time, the decision to help them out from an image standpoint, but then realized that it was damaging their image because of the fact that they were going against what they were about. And what they're truly trying to be in the end, like I said, just like with BitChute and anybody else, past, present, or future, is they're trying to be YouTube like they used to be. And by doing so, they're also trying to send a strong statement to YouTube that, hey, this is what made people popular, or not made people popular, but this is what made you popular to the people in the first place, because you are about them. You put them first before anything else. And that's why, OnlyFans got the backlash they did when they made that decision to remove all kinds of porn from the site before rectifying it and allowing it back in. But what do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments, as well as in the live chat during the premiere. Like the video, I should say. Check me out at my Patreon at BW Roses. Check me out at BW Roses discussions on all your favorite podcast locations, except for Pandora. As well as check me out, as well at Teespring. Check out my Teespring store. I got a couple of stuff that's already been sold. Thank you guys for that. Really appreciate the support, I should say. As well as check me out at BW Roses on Vimeo that I just mentioned here in this video for the content that, like I said, you can't get anywhere else, maybe perhaps due to copyright. But until next time, guys, I will talk to y'all later.